Good morning, everyone. So, how's the battle going? What battle? We're in a war right now. Technically, it's a spiritual war, so don't go get your guns. That's not the way we play this. But the order is to fight. Do you know what to do? Do you have a strategy? What is a strategy? Now, would God give us a plan? Absolutely. Could you do it on your own? Absolutely not. So, to be a strategic planner, you have to look for the best way to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to do. How do you do that? Well, you have to know all the information. You have to know what the enemy's doing. You have to know what you're doing and what your resources are, what the weaknesses are of the enemy. Do you know all that? Especially in a spiritual battle. I don't think so. I didn't reboot my computer, which means my mouse is acting up again. It's not as bad as it used to be, so I might be able to get through this. So we're all fighting a battle, though. My battle can be distracted by different things. By weather, noisy neighbors, which I don't have right now, which I'm grateful for. Squirrels. Or my car, which I just took my car in to find out why I have a sensor failing. And I do have a sensor failing on my oil pressure, but they said my oil pressure is also down. I don't know how much you know about cars, but when it's idling, it should be about 25, 24 pounds PSI, pounds per square inch, and it's at about 18. I've got 230,000 on this engine, so there are metal parts that have worn, and oil can leak past these seals when they're worn, and so it can't hold the pressure up. There's still pressure. I can keep driving it maybe another 100,000, but it could go out tomorrow. God has to help keep things going. If you remember when Jimmy Carter was president, he's a good person, but a bad leader, and a leader where you need to have strong leadership. He failed that, but as a person, he's a good person. Now, he was a Democrat, so I didn't vote for him, but he's still a good person. But you want strong leadership if you're going to be fighting a battle, especially with people who only respect strength, and that's the Muslims. They're all about strength, physical strength, because they believe God will lead them to victory if they start World War III. Well, that's good faith to have. It's faith misguided, but it's faith nevertheless. And they do things according to that. How much faith do you have in what God will do for you in this spiritual battle? We will win the war, but we're not going to win all the battles. Okay, so if you're looking for a strategy, you need to be able to find the optimal way to use your time and resources to arrive at the best possible outcome. Definition of strategy. So, according to the Bible, it's both prudent and profitable. If you're looking at something like football, the coach will have a different plan, a different set of running and throwing depending on what their capabilities are, depending on where they are in the game. There's 4 quarters. What you do in the first quarter, you might try stuff that you won't dare try in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, you might try stuff you wouldn't dare try in the first quarter. And to do our biblical tie-in here to football, they have a play that's called the Hail Mary, where they just throw it up and hope somebody catches it on their side. It's kind of an act of desperation. But there are plans. If they're within the 10-yard line, they got a different plan. Why did my computer lock up then? My phone. I might be getting low on memory. I'm going to have to look at that. So anyhow, I don't want to be making and calling these plays. We're acting as quarterbacks, if you will, or we may be one of the other players, but somebody's calling the play, they're running it in, giving it to us. Most basic plays come from the side. Every once in a while you get a really good quarterback who can create their own plays. They know enough, and they've practiced enough different types so they can do it. But in general, it comes from the coach. Remember what I said before about evil will win over good if you don't have God involved. Proverbs 24:1, do not be envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their heart devises violence, and their lips talk of troublemaking. They can be everywhere. They can be in church. In fact, that's where the most damage is done. Satan loves to have somebody disrupt a church service. Through wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is strong, yes, a man of knowledge increases in strength. For by wise counsel you will wage your own war, and in a multitude of counselors there is safety. That's why we have elders in the church. Everybody's trusting in God, but you've got to have people doing the work. So, what are a couple of different types of strategies? If you look in the Bible at the different wars and the different conquests, there are different types, each one requiring faith. David and Goliath, the strategy is take out the leader, miraculously if possible. And that's what happened. This wasn't David's plan, this was God's plan. And he inspired David to do it. And that's the key. You can't win any battle against the devil on your own. We have the example in the New Testament where they went to get rid of demons that a guy had. And they beat him up, ran him away. The people going out trying to get rid of the demon. You can't do it. Jesus said someone like that's powerful, the demon, takes much prayer and fasting to be able to beat. So you got to be prepared too. Another battle, the walls of Jericho, intimidation. They were outnumbered, the people in Jericho. There were millions of soldiers in the little Israeli army, along with everybody else. But the walled fortress was strong. They couldn't get through it. They'd lose too many people. So they just marched around it until the walls fell. And then it was just clean up. While Joshua was off fighting, the enemy sneaks around and captures their resources, their women, the animals, whatever riches they could grab, and they took off fleeing for their homeland. Joshua comes back, he sees it. They're all saying, we can't go up against these people. We don't have enough. We don't have enough people. There's a lot of them. But they followed him, got there, and at night attacked. Waking up from a deep sleep to find out that you're under attack. The enemy didn't know what hit them, literally, and they just got up and ran, leaving everything behind. God had a plan. He's got a plan for everyone. From the minute little things that we're dealing with daily to the big plans. We don't want to get in the middle of his plan and mess it up because we think we can do it better. Here's the case where you need discipline. Military has discipline. Sometimes it's not good if the instructions from the top are wrong. But if the instructions from the top are right, you want to follow that all the way down the chain of command. We have historical battles and things throughout history where the people did what they were told, they won. Moses had a strategy that God gave him to keep the people alive in the desert. They were in a hostile environment. It may not have been the people killing them, but the environment would have killed them if they didn't have a strategy. You organized the people into tribes and delegated responsibility. Leadership. And a good leader leads. He doesn't command. You can see pictures of Patton leading the charge out in one of the tanks or something, or wherever they're at. He's leading them into battle. People will follow a leader like that. Now, just as a last thought to get you motivated to seek God, the devil has strategies too. And there's no way you can beat the devil on your own. He's got a lot of people working for him, demons and people. So individually, you're outnumbered. Now, God's bigger than him, so we don't have to worry about that. But individually, if you go up against the devil, you're going to lose. Now, depending on his strategy, he may try to get you to come over to his side before he realizes he can't, and then he tries to kill you. He'd rather kill you or get you to come over to his side, and then you can help kill others. You see, that's his strategy. Resist the devil and he'll flee. Well, you have to be aware of what's going on. You don't go up to everybody and say, "Get behind me, Satan," because they may just be doing it on their own. Some people are just jerks anyway. They don't need the devil to help. But he could be involved. You have to have your armor of God on, and the armor of God has you going out with the truth, with salvation. So you've got offense and defense in the armor of God. But it comes from God. It's not yours. I dress up sometimes for these conventions as different characters. And I have swords and shields, things like that. And I will sometimes do a pirate where I've got swords. I don't draw them. I'm pretending. I wouldn't want to be back in these days where they were people killed with swords and spears and arrows. That's not a pleasant thing to think about. But God can allow us to be killed by many different ways if we stand against him. No one in their right mind would stand against him. The people that are standing against him are wrong in their belief. They've been lied to. The devil's good at that. So be careful when you are challenging these people. They think they're right. They think they can win. But they're wrong. If you can convince them they're wrong, you've gained an ally. That's why we're to love our enemy, because the enemies of God don't know the truth. If they did, they wouldn't be enemies of God. Just look at the news media. Whoever, since the news media is owned by the left now, whoever they don't like, you need to look to and try to help that person. Whoever they like, stay away from them. It's a battle of strategies. God's strategy will win. He could win entirely by force, but that's not his style. David and Goliath, Jericho, he's got style. It's not force. I know you probably have seen it, Blazing Saddles. I love to do film references because I love what creative people can do. That's why I'm involved in it now. Now it's not for the younger crowd because there's language in there. There's also comical racial slurs. Mel Brooks is Jewish. He's used to having things said about them. He's got Cleavon Little in there as the black sheriff. There are racial slurs, so I'm warning you about that if you haven't seen it. But it's a very funny movie, and it picks fun at people's stupid stereotypes. It shows them, but it makes fun of them. Okay, so that's the goal of it. But Alex Guinness plays a big, tough Mungo. Mungo just pawn in game of life. This big, tough football player playing this dumb cowboy. And he comes into town, and Cleavon Little outsmarts him. So size doesn't matter. It's what's up here. And God's got that locked in really good. He's got size too, but he doesn't like to show it. But clever strategies will work. And God has reams and volumes of it. Just trust him. Faith. In the military, if we had a smart commander that we trusted, we'd do whatever he told us. Unfortunately, if you've got a dumb one, you're supposed to still do what he tells you. But hopefully his immediate circle would warn him of dumb plays. God doesn't have dumb plays, so trust him and get back out there in the war that is going on right now and follow God's strategies. And if you need to know what they're like, read the Bible and then listen to God, because he will tell you. He'll give you your daily marching orders, what you can do to win these little skirmishes along the way. And we're going to have these until we're out of here. And then there's going to be some big skirmishes. But again, God wins the war. But you don't have to win every battle to win the war. All right, get out there and help the world. Lead our enemies to God. They will be grateful. Pray for your enemy, because again, If they're an enemy of God, they're misled. Get the truth to them. Convince them of it. Don't hit them over the head. That's their battle. You don't do that. But convince them both in your actions and in the words. Plant the seeds. Get them to think about things. We can remove some of the people from the enemy's side by getting them over onto our side. Until we meet in the clouds, God bless.